The 18 Strong Podcast with Jeff Pellizzaro, episode number 2.
Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where you get direct access to the world's greatest experts on training harder, practicing smarter, and playing better golf. Now, here's your host, Jeff Pellizzaro.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the second episode of the 18 Strong Podcast. This whole thing is kind of becoming a bit of a whirlwind, and I'm really excited to get this ball rolling with our guest today, who's one of my favorite people in the golf fitness industry, Mr. Jason Glass. He's one of the guys who's inspired me to learn more about the golf game and how fitness applies to the golf game and what the body can do. But also just as a person, Jason's a very motivational guy, very energetic guy, and just a great guy to talk to. And he's got some great stuff for you today. So without taking too much time at the beginning, because this episode actually runs a little bit long, we had so much to talk about, and Jason's such a fun guy to listen to. I just had to keep on asking him questions. But Jason's going to give you a little bit of insight on what some of his favorite tips are when working out, how to work out properly, what he's doing with his clients, and some of the workouts that the type of workouts that they do. And then he gives some of his biggest secrets on how to gain power in your golf game, bigger drives off the tee. And it has to do a little bit with getting a little more junk in your trunk as a little hint for you. And then at the end of the episode, Jason actually reveals a pretty big announcement for stuff that he's got going on. By the time this episode actually airs, he may have announced it elsewhere, but I'm very happy to say that Jason chose the 18 Strong Podcast to be the first place that he announced this big thing. And before I get to the actual interview, I just want to give a quick little shout out to some of the people that really helped make this whole experiment possible. And those are the people that gave me their time ahead of the release of the website, the podcast. And that would be Jason Glass, first and foremost. Some of the other guests that you're going to be hearing come on the show, Mr. Dave Donatucci, Dr. Mark Smith, Dr. Brett McCabe, Damon Goddard, Ellen Port, very good friend of mine, Allie Gilbert, and Clint Howard, just some of the other fitness professionals, mental coaches, players that you're going to be hearing in the upcoming episodes. And they were nice enough to give me their time before they even knew if this was really going to release or come out. And I really just appreciate them sharing their knowledge, sharing their experiences for you guys, for me, for the listeners of the 18 Strong Podcast, and everybody out there. So hope you guys enjoy the interview with Jason, and I'll catch you on the other side. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the show, and I can't tell you how excited I am to introduce the very first guest on the 18 Strong Podcast, the one and only Jason Glass. Jay, you ready to help me get this thing rolling?
I'm ready to roll. Let's do this, Jeff.
All right. Well, Jason is one of the world's top golf strength and conditioning specialists. He owns and operates Tour Performance Lab and Kinetica Golf Performance in Vancouver, British Columbia, where he specializes in training rotary athletes, biomechanics, physical assessments, and functional strength training. Jason is a consultant for many top professional athletes from the PGA Tour, European Tour, Web.com Tour, LPGA, and even professional snowboarders. He's also the head strength and conditioning coach for the Canadian national team and the head of the Titleist Performance Institute's Fitness Advisory Board. And most recently, Jason has created and is the host of the Coach Glass podcast. Jay, I hope you don't mind. I ripped that right off of your website. So if there's any additions you want to make to that, go for it.
Hey, don't stop. I'm enjoying this. I really am. I'm really enjoying this. Keep going.
Well, Jay, I've given the listeners just a little background on your work, but I want to take a minute. I want you to tell us who Jason Glass is as a person, and then give us a little bit more of an overview of what it is that you really do and who you work with.
Yeah, honestly, I think the most important thing for your listeners to listen to is I'm just a guy who's a passionate coach who loves to help people accomplish their dreams or be the best version of themselves. And it could be in any sport. I specialize in golf, and I've kind of made my brand based on golf, and but really at the end of the day, it's any athlete. And I use the word athlete because I feel like, athletes are people who we can kind of identify as people who are pushing their personal limits always, they're always working on their personal best, and they're, trying to outdo themselves on a constant basis. Well, these are the people that inspire me. I want to be around people like that. So that, that's the kind of thing that gets me fired up is helping others. What they always say, those who can't coach, and I don't believe in that. I think what I can do, I was an athlete growing up, but what I can do is inspire others, and I figured that out early on. So that's kind of what I do. I'm also a father and a husband, and my family I'm very passionate about. I keep it out of the limelight, try and keep it out of what I do out in the public world. But that's a big part of it. I love to put out as much content as possible, and then come home and spend time with my loved ones.
I love it, man. And speaking of being an inspiration, I wanted to just take a minute to give the listeners a little bit of background on my relationship to you. I basically met Jason and have only met him one time, but have followed his stuff online and have conversed back and forth via Facebook and things like that. But I met Jason at the Titleist Performance Institute Level 2 fitness professional back in April, I think it was 2012. And, just from that time on, I saw Jay up, giving his presentation, and just the way he interacted with the crowd and everybody there, and all the different fitness professionals, and just the energy that he brought to the room. And I would say that the way he interacted and just the content that he brought really did inspire me to really want to go further down this golf fitness path and dive in and not just learn more about the industry of golf fitness and how to improve performance, but also just to interact with more people like Jay, people that are striving to be the best in this industry, and to try to learn as much from somebody like him. So Jay, first I want to just thank you for that, and also just thank you. I know you have a super busy schedule coming up, and you're just out of the country, and to take the time to help us, especially with the very first interview of this podcast. I just want to thank you so much, man.
Oh, no problem, Jeff. It's my pleasure. You're a big reason why we do what we do. We teach thousands of level 1 attendees a year all over the world. And then we do our fitness level 2, myself and Lance Gill, who I hope you have on your podcast in the future. He's a great interview. But we spend a lot of our time traveling and trying to kind of educate others. And there's maybe a small percentage of them that stick. And I mean, like they're all great. Everyone you teach that, you make a connection with at the event. And then there's certain people that after the event, you continue with that. And you're one of those people who, the seminar's over, but your learning never ended. And you continue to ask questions and probe ideas and kind of through Facebook and social media, kind of keep in the loop. And so that's great. I mean, I love that. And that's why we're here today. I'm so stoked that you're doing this, Jeff, because I think your podcast is going to take off. It's going to be important to golfers. And I know what it was like when I launched the Coach Glass podcast. It takes a lot of balls, man, for what you're doing. It really does, because you're putting yourself out there. And there's going to be people that are going to listen, and they're going to go, oh man, that's that thing's whatever. And some people are going to be really inspired. And my thoughts, or my kind of advice to you though, is if it's authentic to you, and I know it is to you, Jeff, if it's authentic to you and it feels right, you just keep doing it. And you don't do it for how many downloads you get. You don't do it for, how many likes you get, thumbs up on Facebook. You do it because it feels right to you and you're passionate about it. And I'll tell you what, 5 passionate fans is better than 10,000 thumbs up any day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you will have 10,000 fans, and it will be amazing. But I'm just saying, like, it's the few people that you really deeply have deep connections with that makes us do what we do.
Well, thank you for those kind words, man. I really appreciate it. Just a little bit of background as far as what this whole site and podcast and why I did take the leap to get out and do this is, the title 18 Strong is just trying to figure out what does it take a golfer to do to finish those 18 holes, to put that last putt in and look back on his round or look back on his last 4 days and say, I was there. I had it. That was easy. I finished every single hole the way I wanted to. My mental game was strong. My physical game was strong. And so the idea behind this podcast is to give you guys, the listeners, the ability to have guys like Jason in your earbuds, listening on the way to work, when you're getting ready in the morning to go to work, that kind of stuff, when you're working out, to get these guys to see what the best of the best are doing and get their input and how are these guys improving their golfers, their athletes, what are they doing nutrition-wise, mentally, physically, that type of stuff. So that's why, Jay, that's why I'm so excited to have you on this first one, and hopefully many times in the future, and just to give the listeners as good of an experience and get them as close to being inside the ropes as they possibly can. So with that being said, I want to get more of a story of Jason Glass, the history of you, what brought you to this career. So in a nutshell, what drew you to a career in golf fitness?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'm actually sitting in a nutshell right now. I don't know what kind of, I think it's a walnut. No, but my background is really quite simple. I played all power sports, my entire life. Being from Canada, hockey, lacrosse, I played soccer and all these sports where, the harder you worked, the better the result. So I was always in a sport, like I played college football, and I was a running back. Well, you get laid out on the line, on the 1 yard line, and some guy lays you out. Well, you can get back up with mud in your face, take the dirt out of your teeth, and you can stand up and say, okay, I got another shot at this, and then plow through. You just try harder, work harder, out hustle everybody around you, and you had success. So that was kind of my background playing power sports, and I love the aggression and the adrenaline. But then when I finished college, I started, strength training and helping others because my career was over, and I knew I wasn't going to make it to the NFL or the Canadian Football League up here. But so I decided let's help others. I loved the training aspect and loved practice and coaching. So I thought I'd become a strength coach, and I went down that path. But then up in Vancouver, you got to think, like, everybody's into hockey up in Canada, and I'm gonna be honest with you, there's no money in hockey. If you're a strength coach, because the parents, they're the get up at 4, take their kids to the rink, and and then go and do their job, and then hockey all weekend, and they're not paying big money to strength coaches. So unless your guy makes it to the NHL, you're kind of working, just trying to help bring up the next great one. So I guess I had a little stroke of genius for the first time in my life. I thought, well, if I want to coach people and use some of my skills, where's the money at? So I looked around and I saw country clubs. There's people at country clubs who take tennis lessons 5 days a week. They take golf lessons 5 days a week. And I'm thinking they're spending a lot of money on their own performance, and they still suck at it, to be honest with you, because they don't have the secrets that we had in high performance sports. So I thought, okay, well, let's dabble in that world and maybe try and take some of the loonies and toonies off the local tennis players and golfers. And at first it was real. I had success in the tennis world. I had a lot of the provincial and national team players that were really interested in my footwork drills and how to transfer energy, kinematic sequencing for tennis stroke, how to create more power in their forehand, backhands. And I'm not even a great tennis player by any means, but I did understand how to create power and how the body's supposed to move. But the thing is, those tennis players also played golf, and they found that their golf game was also getting better. They're hitting the ball a lot farther. So, long story short is I started working in that world, tennis, golf, rotary sports, and really making a difference there. But it wasn't until, years later when I was working for the University of British Columbia as their strength coach for their golf team, that I saw Greg Rose and Dr. Dave Phillips. He'd love that. Dr. Rose and Dave Phillips on the Golf Channel, and I saw them on the Golf Fitness Academy. And I was like, man, these guys are cool. I like this. I like the show. Finally, my passion is actually being shown in a grand scale. And I thought it was fantastic. So they came up to Vancouver, And I'll never forget this day. I signed up for the course, and the night before the level 1 class, I'm sitting there with my wife, and she says, "Oh, honey, are you looking forward to the class tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who knows? I don't know what I'm going to learn. Like, how could I ever learn anything?
Right.
Because obviously I know everything, which was one of the stupidest things I've ever said in my life, because I went to the course and it blew my mind, and it absolutely changed the way I was doing things. I was a guesser. I was going through the process of working with athletes, and I was getting success, but I was guessing. I didn't have a system. So it wasn't until I saw Greg Rose's system of screening. I was a great cook guy at the time, and I loved his functional training and how he screened athletes. But Greg took it to like a performance level, not just like injury prevention and functional movement. And it put it this way, it sparked me. It got my mind going. I said, I'm all in. I started a golf conditioning business called Kinetica Golf Performance. Started working at that. And and then fast forward, next thing you know, one of the things that happened in that class was I was sitting in the crowd, and I'm seeing Greg Rose, who's a fantastic speaker. I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm going, man, I'd like to be that one day. I'd really like to be up on stage and to be teaching like this and have this kind of experience. And it gives you goosebumps really when you think about it. And my wife reminds me of that day all the time, that as we fast forward, I just came back from Beijing, teaching a level 1 to people I don't even speak the same language to. And that blew me away. Like when you stand on stage and you have 120 odd Beijingites, I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm doing my best. But yeah, people from a totally different language, and you're being translated. It kind of makes you think like, wow, what a crazy, wild ride this has been.
It's pretty unbelievable when you just kind of buckle up and say, that's what I want to do. And you've spoken to this on your podcast many times, that, you just kind of put that intention out there and realize this is the thing that I want to do, and I want to learn how to do it as good as possible and be the best, just like you saw Greg Rose up there. And that's kind of the experience I had when I saw you guys in Atlanta, and then and even the first time when I saw Lance here in St. Louis, I was just kind of blown away, because I feel like a lot of times as coaches, trainers, we get the mentality that we kind of know what we know, and that's kind of all we need to know. And when I went to that first level 1, I didn't grow up playing golf, but I had learned a lot about golf over the past several years, and kind of had built a pretty decent business working with golfers here in St. Louis. And it was like, oh my God, I don't know anything compared to these guys, but I want to know what these guys know. And so it's really cool to see that you had that intention and just moved toward it, and look where you are now. It's pretty crazy.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, it is an amazing ride. And I always say, some people say, oh, you're lucky to do this or you're lucky to do that. And I always say that, luck is just taking advantage of an opportunity. But here's the deal is that, it's great to want these things. Like I get all the time, people come up to me and say, Jay, how can I be a presenter for Perform Better, or how can I be a presenter for TPI or any of this kind of stuff? And they're always like, what's the fast track? What's the best way to do this? And they don't like my answer, because the answer is it's hard. You got to work your ass off, and you need to know your stuff. And you got to believe in your content, and you got to create your own content. It's not about teaching other people's content. You got to actually create your own content. You need to believe in it. And then you got to work your ass off on the skill. People do it in different ways. Some people do it by just sheer hours, like just get up and do it. They speak at their local country club, or they maybe do different events and stuff. But for me, as I've evolved, I'm trying to push the limits of what I call edutainment. I'm trying to educate through entertainment, which I think is important nowadays, because I think the focus level or see, people just turned off this podcast because I said for more than 3 seconds. They're like, oh, I'm turning this off, right? Their attention spans are very short.
Wait till they hear your English accent.
Oh, the English. Well, the Scottish one is no. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to ruin your podcast. I can ruin my own, but I'm not going to ruin yours. But the trying to create some entertainment. So I thought, well, the best way to do that is really push my limits as a speaker. So I started doing stand-up comedy, open mics, and really working on the art form of delivery and work on the art form of timing. And people go, well, what the hell does that have to do with talking about golf fitness? And I'm telling you, it's not. It's about being the best at what you can do. If I can deliver my message in a clear and concise way, and do it more directly by maybe adding some humor to something or adding some timing or something, I'm going to do it. So that's my shtick. I don't know anybody else that's doing this route. There's a lot of great speakers that just come naturally, but I'm not going to take that chance. I'm going to work my ass off and try to be the best I can be.
That's all you can be, man. I'm gonna switch gears up on us a little bit and get in a little bit to the industry of golf fitness. And what would you say, or how in your eyes has fitness becoming so popular in golf now? How has that changed the game?
Wow. If you look back, pre-Tiger, we had, oh man, what's his name? Come on, Jay. Gary
Player.
Gary, thank you so much. My mind goes crazy when I'm talking all these things. So Gary Player, he was into fitness, and everybody thought he was crazy. And then all of a sudden, Tiger comes along, and to be honest with you, I don't think Tiger really trained as hard as people do nowadays. Like nowhere close. But for some reason, he looked fit and he looked like he was in shape. And I know that he did work out, but not like we do nowadays. So now all of a sudden it became a bit of a fad. It became a little bit of like, hey, if you're not doing this, you're not going to win. Look at the pipes on him when he do his like fist pump. It was like, oh my God, this guy looks like an athlete. Well, yeah, he does look like an athlete. So everybody should start trying to strive to be that. But I think at first people made the big mistake of thinking fit equals performance, and that's not always the case. Each individual golfer has different needs. Case in point, I'll give you two examples. I have two players that are on tour. 3 years ago, they both came to me. They were both about 160 pounds. One of them had so much horsepower, was swinging out of his shoes, and really his footwork, if you were to see it, was out of control, and he would hit it miles, but I was just thinking this body can't take the horsepower that he's putting out. So that's golfer A. Golfer B is a tempo guy, kind of like a Freddie Couples. Again, about 165 pounds. So 3 years ago, both those golfers come in, and I'm like, okay, let's take a look at what your needs are. So the Freddie Couples guy, I'm like, okay, what you need is you need injury prevention. He was a little bit older, and I'm like, you got to really work on some fitness so that we can be bulletproof and injury free and move more efficiently and remove some of the limitations that were getting in his way. Athlete A, the guy that was coming out of his shoes every time he swung, I'm like, if you're going to swing that hard and you're going to want a career, this guy's a young guy at the time. If you want a career on the PGA Tour, we're going to have to put some meat on the bones and try and beef up your body so that it can handle the speeds that you're creating. So we spent the next 3 years, and this is important, 3 years, putting on 15 pounds of functional muscle with maintaining his speed. And through that process, he has maintained the same speeds that he had before, but now he's completely in control. His footwork looks like Ernie Els. It's so smooth. And he's hitting it just as far, if not farther, with a few changes in his setup and technology, but hitting it just as far. But it's straightening out, and his misses are diminished. So I think like that's truly what I think a golf performance coach needs to be, is not just slap fitness on a golfer, but understand what each individual golfer's needs are and deliver the right program to the right athlete.
And on the flip side of that whole conversation, would you say, because I think those are great examples of when fitness can be extremely beneficial and it makes a huge difference in the game, would you say there's any drawbacks to fitness becoming such a big topic in golf these days?
Well, I think the drawback comes when like Angel Cabrera wins or Jason Duffner wins or these guys that don't look fit or I think that all of a sudden everybody goes like, and I hear it all the time. Oh yeah, you guys used to say it's so important. I guess it's not so important, is it? I'm like, okay, so there's always outliers. There's always those people that are on the fringe that can have a belly and score well. But here's the bottom line, and I say this to all of our Canadian national team players. And let me just share a quick story on this one because I think that this is so like it fits totally into the theme of your podcast, 18 Strong. I love that concept. So here, bear with me for 1 minute.
No, we love stories.
Okay, so I have an athlete who played in a pro tournament. I'm not going to use names here because I don't want to. This isn't necessarily a great story. So this athlete wasn't really adhering to the nutrition plan. Wasn't really adhering to the fitness plan as well as they possibly could have. In a tournament, professional tournament, big event for this player, coming down through 15 on the final day, leading by 2 strokes. Coming down through 15, bogey, 16, bogey, 17, par, 18, bogey, lost by 2 strokes. Like it was completely in their wheelhouse to win. And as that athlete came off the 18th green, I was standing there and all I did was look them in the eye and they instantly dissolved because they knew the one thing that they had in total control of their game was their nutrition and their preparation so they could be strong through 18 holes. And the one thing they didn't do, they practiced, they hit all the right shots, they did everything, but they knew. I said, how did you, like I watched this player finish. I said, how did you feel the last few holes? Tired, cloudy mind, confused, could not focus. I said, how much water did you drink today? 0. How much did you eat today? 0. How did you feel? How did your legs feel? Tired. You know what I'm saying? Like to see that player knew they had a shot at like winning a professional event and then have it all fall through because they didn't do the little things. So you want to know why golf fitness is important? It's the one thing you have 100% complete control over. And if you don't take care of it and you lose, you know that you actually screwed yourself versus losing because I did all the right things. I played my best and I got beat by a better player today.
It's the things that you can control that you have to control. Absolutely.
That's what we do. And if you're not doing that, then you're just kind of letting it fly and hoping for the best.
Well, this leads perfectly into the next question, because most of the listeners out there aren't necessarily professional golfers. They may be working on a club championship, they may be on the Hooters tour, or working their way up, or they might just be a recreational golfer that loves the game. They want to get in as good a shape as possible. They know they should be on a golf fitness program. What would you say are 1 or 2 of the biggest mistakes that you see these guys making in their golf fitness programs?
Number 1 is not warming up effectively. Taking the first 3 holes or 4 holes, depending on your age and your mobility level, taking 4 holes to get warmed up. Like get to the golf course. Instead of hitting a bucket of balls, how about you just do a dynamic warm up your muscles, warm up your nervous system, get your body prepared for golf. Number 1. Number 2 is stay hydrated so your mind can stay fresh and stay fueled properly without any kind of toxins. You know what? I'm Canadian. Beer is like a vitamin up here. So we love our beer. But while I play, like I'm out there to play golf. I'm not going to drink while I'm playing golf. Afterwards, sure, have a nice adult beverage. But, I'm just like, I want to go and play my best. I want to do my best. So bring lots of water. Have some fuel, not a hot dog, not some toxic food. Bring some light snacks like some almonds and maybe some raisins in there, maybe some apples. I know this sounds boring, folks. It's like, I went to the golf course. Most of these guys want to smoke a big stogie and they want to drink 6 beers and have a hot dog. And that's wonderful. But if they want to play better they actually want to, come home and go, you know what, I shot the best round of my life. Seriously, guys, take a little, account of what you're putting in your body. It will maintain your energy. So the first hole and the 18th hole, you play at the same speed, the same posture, you maintain the same focus. And that's the only way you're going to play your best.
All right, now I'm going to put you on the spot here, little Jay.
Uh-oh.
Yep, here it comes. The whole theme of this thing is we want to get to know you, not just Jason Glass, the super performance specialist, but Jason Glass, the man, the person too. And I think that sometimes when our listeners, even somebody in the fitness world, they come in touch with a fitness coach, they feel like that person knows everything. Their life is perfect, their workouts are perfect, their diet is perfect. But you and I both know that on the other side of the spectrum, we as people struggle with this stuff just like the everyday average Joe.
Absolutely.
Does. So what is one thing that you personally struggle with in your own fitness goals or nutrition goals, and how would you say that you go about battling that and overcoming that when it does get you down?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a very important topic because so many people look at us as if our lives are perfect because we talk the talk, and for 90% of our lives we walk the walk. But you can't forget that everybody's a human being and everybody has their vices. I would say for me, there's two things that I struggle with. One of them is I injured my back, my lower back. I used to be a skateboarder and played football and all these contact sports. And my lower back has some issues, and it flares up every once in a while. And it usually flares up if I haven't been training and doing my kind of corrective exercises. When it flares up, it could put me out for really, honestly, 2 months where I'm really not able to, do sprinting. I'm not able to do any kind of kettlebell training and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. I know that's a lame answer because you're looking for some dirt, but that does. If I don't actually stay on top of it, it does go. And then when that goes, I'm depressed because I can't. Man, there's nothing worse than not being able to do stuff. I'm 41 years old, and to not be able to go and play golf and not be able to do this because my back hurts. I feel like I'm like 70,
right.
And I hate that. So that is a big thing that I need to stay on top of. Another thing that I need to stay on top of is up in Canada, like I said, vitamin B. I love beer. It's great. It's fantastic. But it doesn't do me well. I'm a gluten conscious person. I find that if I live gluten free, I'm better. I'm cleaner. I'm not less bloated and all that kind of stuff. But man, you can't say no to a nice, Labatt's Blue every once in a while. So I try and limit that. And this is very important for your people to listen to. You choose, like there's lesser evils. So I prefer, let's say I'll have a glass of red wine with dinner or something like that. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Where I'd love to sit on the weekend and sit and have an ice cold brewski while watching the PGA Tour. But I choose not to because I know that I'm going to feel bloated. I know I'm going to feel crappy the next day. And I want to be firing on all cylinders. But here's the kicker. When I do, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I never feel guilt because so many people, like, let's say chocolate cake is your issue. Let's say you love chocolate cake. Well, what people do is they sit there and they eat chocolate cake, and while they're eating it, they feel horrible about themselves. And they're like, oh my God, I'm eating chocolate cake again. Why do I can't stop stuffing my cake hole. And it's like, well, then why are you doing it? If you're going to do it, enjoy it. So if I'm going to have a beer, let's say I'm out with the boys and we just had a great day on the links or something, and someone says, hey, wait, guys, a hot day, you want a cold beer? I'm like, hell yeah, I do. And I'll sit down and I'll thoroughly enjoy it, and afterwards feel zero guilt. But the next day, I'm back on the horse and I'm back on, doing my thing.
It's the whole 90-10 rule or 80-20
You got
rule.
it.
You live that 90% of your life the way that you have been taught, the way that you learned, and so you can enjoy it. I love that example you gave of eating your cake and hating yourself while eating it. That's no way to live. And you're speaking to a guy from your own blood. St. Louis, Missouri, home of Budweiser beer. So
there you go.
Vitamin B is definitely flowing through these veins. So again, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here because I know that the listeners for 18 Strong, they want to know some of the details about the guys on the tour. You know, we read the magazines, we watch TV, but they don't always go into detail as far as, you know, the workout programs and things like that. So when you have a tour player, what does your golfer's workout schedule look like in the off season? And then how does that differ from in season? And if you could just give us a quick little glimpse on, you know, what does a tournament week look like for your workouts?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of in a slightly different position. The tour players that I work with, I do only see them every 6 to 8 weeks because they are out on the road, and I'm not on the road with them. I spend my time traveling, lecturing and trying to inspire other coaches. In fact, I'd say I am more a consultant to the coaches that are on the road with the players week in, week out. And then what happens is every 6 to 8 weeks, I get the players back either in my hometown or I see them. And I think that is the role of the strength coach. On tour, I think that the need for the performance team is way stronger or heavily weighted on the soft tissue guy. So, for instance, like Dr. Harry Sese, he's a guy who works with a lot of my players, and he would, do them a lot better service on the road than I can. Me giving them a quick workout in the morning, is that really going to make a difference for their round that day? No. But he can give them that quick little workout, but he can also do some muscle testing and soft tissue work and really make sure that their body is firing at all cylinders. So really my job is to bring them out every 6 to 8 weeks, adjust their program, build new exercises for the next 3 to 6 weeks so that they can be doing it on the road on their own, because I really believe that holding somebody's hand through fitness is not the best medicine. So let's go back to your question. I just want to make that very clear, though, that I'm not like, week in, week out on the PGA Tour. Instead, I like the off weeks where I can actually get some work done. Because if I'm sitting there at the John Deere Classic, the last thing they want to do is have me tearing them apart in the gym. They want to be rebuilt and revitalized. That's why the soft tissue guy's there. So the general week, this is how I would set up their workout program. Most players would arrive on a Tuesday at the next event because they've got a practice round on Wednesday. Some people like to arrive early on the Tuesday, see the course, kind of hit their range a bit. So on Tuesday, I always like to have like a real good workout, and it would be a full body workout, very functional, depending on what their fitness level is. The intensity would be based on that. So I don't want them sore. But then Wednesday is their practice day. So practice day, I still want a metabolic workout, very high intensity. I want them fired up. Depending on what time those practice rounds are very long. Usually they're corporate. They've got a lot of people paying a lot of money to play with them. So and those rounds can take upwards of 6 hours at times. So that's a long day, and then they also want to get their practice in. So that's a long day. They're tired. So I usually have about a 30 to 40 minute quick blaster. And that is, like, I call it a metabolic workout. It's going to be, if you saw them working out there, you'd think that they were, I don't know, I hate to say the word, but they'd be like a CrossFit athlete. They'd be, going from exercise to exercise to exercise, full body, jumping, bounding, lateral bounding, really trying to get the energy up. I like that. Because the next day they're going to be playing, and I want to be able to bring that intensity down. So early in the morning, if they have an early morning tournament, I want to do a little muscle activation in the morning, usually with their physio. That could be like, the physio pushing, pulling on each, arm, leg, making sure that the core is firing properly. If they need any mobility work, he could do some soft tissue stuff. After that, what we want to do is get them, just so now they're warmed up, a well-trained dynamic warm-up that they know and is effective for their game. Do that up right before they go out on the driving range or on the driving range. Go play their round of golf, and then depending on how they feel afterwards, we might get in another, quick little 20-minute feel-good workout. and that's very important for your listeners to listen to, is a feel-good workout is a lot of almost like I have this thing called the Kinetica. It's like kinetic yoga. It involves some stability work, some planking, some mobility stuff mixed in there. After about 20 minutes of that, they feel energized again and they're ready to go. That's kind of way Thursday and Friday go. If they make the cut, which is we all hope they do, they make the cut, then Saturday, Sunday is going to be a very similar model. If they miss the cut, then they know that Saturday, it's almost like punish day. I don't like to punish people for missing the cut, but I want them to feel like, okay, I missed the cut. Doesn't mean my work week is over. My work week is still on, but now I'm going to go into my performance training, and they'll jump right back into to a full workout on that Saturday. I always like them to have Monday off if they can. So really, we're really getting 2 to 3 good workouts a week, and then a couple of feel-good workouts, which they think of as recovery.
Gotcha. I love the fact that you mentioned that, having somebody walk you hand in hand through your workouts is not the most beneficial way to do it. And I see that all the time, and I think for myself, that's where the distinguishing factor between a coach and just your everyday average, and I don't mean to offend anybody here, but any day average trainer, that title would be, is a coach is somebody who wants to make your athlete more independent. So when they're not in your presence, you know that you can trust them to do the things that you've taught them to do. And I think that's very important, especially I know you work with a lot of young athletes. They go off to college, they're in their college weight room. You want to make sure that they're doing it the way that you taught them, not just the way that they see somebody else doing it. And so I'm glad you brought that point up.
Yeah, and I think that's important for not just tour players to know, because tour players are used to the entourage and being taken care of. But I want them to feel like if I'm not there, or their soft tissue guy's not there, it's okay. Like, you should be able to play golf without us. The fact you have us is just a bonus. But then you take the average golfer, the weekend warrior. What I want them to understand is, don't become reliant on your coach, your fitness coach or your fitness trainer. If you have to see them 2 days a week, I really feel like you've given up a little bit of your own willpower. You're like, oh no, but the guy, he motivates me. He makes me work harder. I'm like, well, then maybe you need to look yourself in the mirror a little bit, or your trainer in the mirror. Or do you have the tools? If you've been working with a trainer for 3 years, do you have the tools to do this on your own? If the answer is no, then I would want to rethink my relationship. Now, if you honestly, like, there are people that I have that I will see twice a week, but they are doing stuff on their own. And if I'm not there that week, guess what? It's not like there's no workout happening. They're training on their own. And that's like the true test. You got to empower people to have control over their own lives. When you're not there, they should be able to, complete and continue with the program.
I kind of think of it as like the cell phone mentality. And I too have people that come in, they see me twice a week, 3 times a week. And admittedly, some of these people will do nothing if they don't come to see me, which, we're working on that. But the cell phone mentality, meaning like, I can no longer remember anybody's cell phone number because my phone does it for me. And I know that for a fact that I see people in the gym and they'll walk out of that session, and part of this is on me, but they'll walk out and you could ask them what exercises they did or how many reps they did, and they'll have no idea because they don't pay attention. And it's just like having a cell phone. You don't have to remember anybody's number anymore. So you don't remember it. And if I, as the trainer or coach, am walking that person hand in hand through their workout, there's a lot to be said about the loss of that mind-body connection through that workout.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. That's words to live by for other trainers. I think that a lot of trainers get stuck on this concept of, I'm not making money if they're not in front of me. And I'm like, you're going to make a hell of a lot more money if you empower people to do things themselves. And empowering people will inspire them to also feed the word, feed the work that you're doing to other people. And you're going to have more clients. You're going to be able to touch more people. And I think that's really the key to, kind of bring this thing full circle is why I became a speaker and a presenter is I realized, I love inspiring people and helping people with their own performance. But I can only touch so many people. And, you can only do that, if you're a trainer and you can only see so many people a week, you can only see so many people a year. And so by being able to go out and lecture to groups of people, you're actually feeding thousands of people. You're feeding, because each coach has, 30 clients, let's say. And so if I can, inspire 100 coaches to be better coaches, then that's 3,000 people that are being touched by that lecture or by that podcast or whatever means they're getting that information from. And then by putting stuff out on, through media, through YouTube or through the websites and stuff, I get emails from a guy in Peru, and he goes, "Man, I love your dynamic warm up," or whatever, off YouTube. And I'm like, well, that's cool stuff, man. You made a difference in somebody's life in Peru. How else would I ever touch somebody in Peru, other than like obviously going down to Peru? But that's not going to happen. You're able to touch more people that way. And that's why I've kind of dedicated my time over the last few years to creating content. And it's taken me away from training people one-on-one. But I feel like I'm trying my best to make the biggest impact possible.
I love it. Hey, Jay, I know we're running a little late on time. Do you have a couple extra minutes to spare for?
Absolutely, man. No, hey, you know what? This is the debut of the 18 Strong. So, hey, if we have to go into overtime, I'm all for it.
Greatly appreciate it. We're just going to do a little rapid fire questioning here, brother. So
I love it.
Just some short, sweet answers packed with nothing but Jason Glass's golden nuggets of wisdom.
Uh-oh.
All right. So
Here we go.
Everybody that I know in the golf world wants more distance in their golf game. So in your experience, what's the one thing that's been most effective in improving your player's distance?
Get an ass. You got to get some glutes. Get working on some power stuff, like some powerlifting, kettlebells, deadlifts. Once you're functional, you can fire into that kind of stuff and build yourself an ass, because that is the horsepower generator in the golf swing.
What are the best and worst parts of the Jason Glass golf game?
I'd say chipping and pitching are the worst, like horrific, absolutely atrocious. I would say the best parts, I can roll a ball like no other. It might not be, I might not read the green properly, but I can roll a line on a ball. So my putting's great, and anything from a 7-iron through to a pitching wedge with a full swing, I can mash those. But I'd say my chipping and pitching is just atrocious.
Needs a little work, huh?
Oh, geez.
All right. Do you have a favorite piece of equipment or a fitness product or a resource that you love, that you use with your players and you think every golfer should have?
Absolutely. I use the Perform Better's FMT, or I call it the FMT, functional movement tubing. Some people call it the Gray Cook band. If you go to Perform Better, you can get it there. I think for $40, this band, you can attach it into any doorway. You can attach it anywhere. It's so versatile. So every player that I work with gets a FMT band or a Gray Cook band from Perform Better, and it fits in their travel bag. And that way, I never have to hear, "Oh, the gym at the Holiday Inn sucked. I couldn't do my workout this week, Jay." No, you know what? You got a band, you got a door, get it on.
I love those things. And I love giving those guys the pink one too, just to rub it in a little bit.
Perfect.
All right. In our position, you and I both get a lot of nutrition questions. So what are your players eating and drinking on the day of a tournament?
Oh, that's not a quick fire question, but I'm going to try and do it quick. Importantly,
give me this, your best on-course snack. How about that?
Best on-course snack. Okay, well, first and foremost, it has to be water. If there is no snack, like I'd rather have water than no snack. Once you're hydrated, I love a little bag of almonds with raisins in it, because with more almonds than raisins, put it that way. And then what I like about that is that you're getting high protein. There's some nice healthy fats in the almonds. It gives you that protein, that kind of full feeling, so you're not kind of like, stomach turning and hungry. But I throw a few raisins in there, so you just throw your hand in the bag, and every once in a while, hey, winner, chicken dinner, you got a little tasty morsel of raisin in there as well.
What would you say is the biggest misconception that the general public has about golf fitness?
I would say the number one misconception is that golf fitness is similar to other types of fitness, that somehow the things that you do in a, let's say, what's that, P90X videos or the Insanity videos or the things that they used to do back in high school with the bench press and all that kind of crap. I just feel like they think that that's going to help their golf game. And to be honest with you, being screened properly, like doing the TPI level 1 screen and finding what your limitations are and removing them, that is golf fitness. But all that other stuff is just, 6 packs and icing on the cake.
What's your all-time greatest sports movie?
Ooh, that's a tough one because obviously, like, you got to go with I love the Caddyshack. That's a great one. But Slapshot, the hockey Slapshot with Paul Newman. That's fantastic. But man, see those, I like comedy, so I love that. I love that genre and that spiel. I gotta go with the classics. You know what? I gotta go with Caddyshack.
Nice, good call. All right, what's one thing in your career that you've got going on right now, or maybe in the near future, that you're really fired up about?
The most thing I'm fired up about right now, obviously I'm in the middle of the podcast, the Coach Glass podcast on iTunes. That is, I'm really enjoying the feedback that we're getting and being able to inspire people. But I've also got a big thing, and I'll announce it on your podcast. You could be the first to know. Yeah, this will be like the first announcement. And who knows when you're going to put this first episode out, but I'm sure my new website won't be out by then, but I've got a new website coming out. It's called The Next Level. And the Next Level, it's not nextlevel.com. It's going to be on my website. But the idea is everybody keeps asking me, Jay, when is your next DVD coming out? When are you going to do your next DVD or your next show or whatever? And the problem with that is, are you going to write a book? The problem with all these things is that it takes so long to produce. And then by the time you sell it, like people are buying my Power Slings DVD, and I'm already moved on to other projects. It just seems like it's so cumbersome. So the Next Level is going to be a pay site. It's going to be very cheap. It's going to be a nominal fee every month. But people can get, like, what is Jay doing this week? What is he doing this month? Every month putting out brand new content, DVD level content, and providing them with almost like a clubhouse for the coaches and the players with new workouts, new videos, the new science behind what we're working on. And every single month they're going to get brand new content. And I just feel like that's a better delivery system than the old school, make a DVD and it comes out 7 to 9 months later. And then by the time you ship it to people, they're getting content that's a year old. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm fired up. I'm creating the content now and trying to build out the website. And hopefully it'll be out by, I hope it's out by the end of July 2014.
Oh, I can't wait, man. I'll make sure that everything gets linked up here in the show notes page so the 18 Strong crowd can head on over to The Next Level and take advantage of that.
I love it. Thanks, buddy.
Sure, man. All right. How would you define the term 18 Strong? And I want you to give me one example of a player or a situation that you feel epitomizes that definition.
Well, I think we kind of went through. I think I don't know if I could come up with a better example than that player that didn't take care of their hydration and nutrition on the golf course. I think that is the true definition of 18 strong. I think that it is important for people just in mentally thinking that their round of golf isn't by accident. Like, when you go through 16 to 18, I think that's like a pivotal time in most amateurs golf rounds. And I feel like that's where they really start to fall apart. Either their swings get long because they're warmed up properly, or they're fatigued and they start to lose distance and lose power. I think that all the things that are going to lead you to having the best performance from the first tee to the 18th tee are all things that are 100% in your control. I think that they're things that you can do with a strength and performance coach, with your nutritionist, with your mental coach, and all those things you have 100% control over. What happens on the golf course, whether it starts raining or whether the wind picks up, that is out of your control. But I think that your podcast is going to really start to lay out the performance side of the game and help with all those other things that the player has control over. So that's what I'd consider 18 strong.
All right, I got one final question for you here, Jay, and it's a little more in depth, but I know you can handle it. Let's pretend that you don't work in a gym and travel all over the world with Titleist and work with the greatest golfers in the world. Instead, you have a 40 to 60 hour a week job in another occupation, completely unrelated to golf or fitness, but you're determined to get in as good of shape as you can for your golf game. What would your weekly routine of workouts and practice look like? Just kind of a general outline of how many days a week and what would you focus on?
Okay, so if I had like a 9-to-5 job and I was just sitting in a cubicle somewhere and my passion was for golf. I've got the little golf ticker in the top right corner of my computer, and I'm keeping track of the scores. And I just can't wait for that one round that my wife lets me get out of the house on a Saturday. What would I do? Honestly, what I would think of is I would try to get 2 good workouts a week, like between the Monday and Friday, preferably like early in the week, like Monday and Wednesday. Get some real work done in the gym. I like to get in and out of the gym in 45 minutes. I don't think that there's a reason for you to be training more than that. I think you got a 15-minute dynamic warm-up that really kind of shows some of the exercises that you're going to do with resistance later. 15 minutes of resistance training, maybe 20 minutes, and then a 10-minute kind of corrective cool down. For the general golfer, that's going to keep you moving your best and performing at your best. So you do that 2 days a week. A third day is something completely different. Be it like go to hot yoga, go run in trails. And like I've got a beautiful forest. I live in the Northwest, a beautiful forest in my backyard. I go running in there. Just something that's going to be a completely change your feeling. I would go and do that for maybe 20 minutes, do something different, like some kind of other activity, something fun. And then what I'd do is I'd focus on the weekend, making sure that I get to the golf course with plenty of time so I can get a dynamic warm up in and prepare my body for the best round on the Saturday. But I think that's totally in the wheelhouse of most people that have an office job. If they can't do any of that stuff, I say get screened, find out what your limitations are, and work on correcting some of your, let's say, T-spine mobility issues, or maybe you got some lead hip issues. Correct some of the limitations that are getting in your way of playing your best golf, and you'll be better off.
Awesome. Well, Jay, I appreciate all of your time today, man. Is there one last piece of advice or guidance you'd like to give, and then tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find your stuff?
Absolutely. I'll leave you with one more thought, but you can find me at www. I don't know if people still have to say that. I think they kind of got that idea. But Jason Glass Lab, that's jasonglasslab.com. And also, hit me up on Twitter. Everything that I've got is Jason Glass Lab. So just put that in your Google and let it fly. But the thing I would like to leave your listeners with is a concept called Dream Big and Overdeliver. I really believe it's the mantra of my life. And the idea is don't just don't just want things. You got to dream as big as you can. Have like who could I possibly be? What could be the best version of me? What could I ever accomplish in my life? And then get off your ass and over-deliver on it. Actually do it. And the best way to do that is to write down your goals and then start checking off the boxes. And so many people, I see them 5 years later and they're still talking about the same bloody thing. Like, well, one day I'd like to, one day I'd like to, one day I'd like to. Get off your ass and start doing the work. And I guarantee you will, if you do the hard work, you will accomplish and over-deliver on all your goals.
I love it, Jay. And for all you listeners out there, I know Jay's a big Twitter guy, and if you get on there, hashtag Dream Big, Overdeliver, and let's throw in a hashtag 18 Strong on there too, just to let you know
I love it.
that you're supporting Jason Glass Lab and the 18 Strong crowd. And Jay, 18 Strong, we tip our hats to you, and we'll check you later, man.
Thanks, buddy. I'd love to listen to your podcast and watch you grow, because I think you're doing a great thing, and I tip my hat to you, because it takes a lot of guts to do what you're doing, and I hope it takes off, because the world needs more people like you, Jeff.
I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Jason Glass. Again, one of my favorite people in the golf fitness world by far. Don't forget to go out, check out Jason's stuff. All of his information is going to be in the show notes page, which you can find at 18strong.com. Be sure to go ahead and visit the 18strong.com website. Check out the articles we have. Let us know what you guys want to hear. Let us know what you want to listen to as far as the podcast is concerned, and also what kind of content you guys want on the website. What questions you have. What do you want to learn more about? We need to know what you want to know so we can put out the best content for you. Lastly, go ahead and find us on Twitter, find us on Facebook. And if you feel like we're giving you quality information and you enjoy our stuff, give us a couple listens to a few episodes. And if you do like what you hear, please feel free to give us a review on iTunes. That's always good for boosting the awareness of the 18 Strong podcast, the website, everything. And we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Lastly, if you don't mind helping Jason out, helping the 18 Strong podcast out with a hashtag of Overdeliver, hashtag Dream Big, and of course, hashtag 18 Strong. Thank you guys. You're awesome, and we will catch you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast at www.18strong.com. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.